All right, so I think this is recording. Let's take a look here at problem number 3. We've got two rational expressions. We're asked to divide them. We're asked to write the division, the result in lowest terms, and to also state any restrictions that we have along the way. So with division, there's going to be two places where we have to pause and look for restrictions. Now, a restriction comes from, in this case, dividing by 0. If you have any variables in a denominator, then there exists a possibility that the value, that could equal 0. All right, so let's look at this second fraction. Let's leave this first fraction alone. If I look to the denominator of this second fraction, I've got 8n minus 48. Well, 8, there's a common factor of both terms with an 8. So I'm going to factor out that common 8. And 8 times 6 is 48. So what I would have left is 6. All right. So in factored form here, it's pretty easy to see what my restrictions are, or at least my first pass at finding the restrictions. When I look to both denominators, I see that I have a factor of n minus 6, and so I can immediately say that n cannot equal a positive 6 because 6 minus 6 would give us 0 in the denominator, and that's not good. All right, so I'm going to leave the first fraction alone. I'm going to change the multiplication to division, and I'm going to flip the divisor, this second fraction, take the reciprocal. So I've got 8 times n minus 6 is now in the numerator. 4 times n is in the denominator. Of course, we have that restriction that n cannot be 6. Let's write these two fractions as a single fraction by multiplying the two numerators together and multiplying the two denominators together. So I have 4n times 8 times n minus 6. And in the denominator, I'm going to write the 4n first and then the binomial. Just feels more comfortable to me doing it that way. And multiplication, I can justify it by saying that you can multiply in any order, that 2 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 2. All right, so remember our restriction was that n can't be 6. But that was when I looked at it before I flipped my divisor. I'm ready to take a second look at this denominator and see if there's any further restrictions. I can see a single factor of n that I didn't have originally with the problem. It was after I took the reciprocal that a factor of n was introduced to the denominator, which means that n cannot be 0. All right. So now I have my restrictions both before I flipped the divisor and after I flipped it, and that's crucial. That's important. I can now look to see if there's any factors that cancel, and although I could try to break down 4 to 2 times 2 and this 4 to 2 times 2, I mean, it's easier just to recognize right now that 4n divided by 4n is 1. The n minus 6 divided by n minus 6 is 1. So our final answer is 8, because 8 divided by 1 is just 8. Now, it would never reduce to 8 if we didn't have these restrictions to guarantee that n cannot be 6, and then it cannot be 0. So here's our final answer. And I don't think that a normal person, that an average person would have been able to look at this problem in the beginning and just go, oh, well, that's obvious. This simplifies to the number 8, of course, provided that n is not 6 and n is not 0. That is not obvious. You have to write down the steps. You have to step by step look at it. You have to look at your restrictions at 2 different points within your solution. You need to go slow and steady and think about every step. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I hope this helped, and I will talk to you later. Bye.